Hello and welcome back to FloRugby. Let's get straight into the biggest news stories today. There are big moves off the field and a few seismic stories on it. We start with player movement in Japan and England before returning to the major test match stories that are coming up this weekend. Starting with Lucanio Am, he has call time on his Sharks career, for now at least, signing with the Mitsubishi Sagamihara Dynaboars, a world-class midfielder over 100 games in Durban and one of the most composed leaders in South African rugby over the last 5 years. His calm, clinical style now heads to League One, where he will link up with Glenn Delaney and a handful of fellow South Africans. Japan's top flight continues to attract elite players with a really well worked structure, great coaching and a very smart schedule that complements the test calendar rather than clashes with it. Meanwhile, Jesse Creel stays in Japan but steps into some history. He's been named the captain of the Cannon Eagles, the first foreigner to lead the club. 7 seasons in, Creel has become a central figure in their rise and continues to show the same standards that made him a mainstay for the Springboks. He said he'll lead with pride and purpose, and it's clear his leadership credentials extend far beyond just the test arena, so it's great to see him getting that recognition. Back in England, the Northampton Saints keep building from within. Alex Coles has re-signed with a club that brought him through the academy since the age of 13. A key line-out organiser, a set-piece technician, and one of the quiet drivers of Northampton's recent Premiership success and run to the Champions Cup final. He joins Finn Smith, Alex Mitchell and Fraser Dingwall in recommitting to the project that Phil Dowson has been running. Dowson called Coles invaluable, and it's hard to disagree. The spine of this side is staying put, and that's the kind of foundation that wins long term in club rugby. Ireland next, where Tadhg Beirne's red card from the All Blacks test in Chicago has been overturned today. The disciplinary committee agreed that while there was foul play that occurred, it didn't meet the red card threshold, which was crucial in this decision. That's a massive relief for Andy Farrell, who needs Beirne's versatility across lock and the back row in the coming weeks against Japan, Australia and South Africa. And more importantly, his leadership and immense work rate. Now to England, England's back three, where injuries have thrown some plans into chaos for Steve Borthwick. Freddie Stewart's hand issue and Tom Roebuck's ankle knock mean Steve Borthwick could be forced into a reshuffle before facing Fiji. If neither of those players recover, Marcus Smith is likely to slot in at fullback, with Bath's Henry Arundel returning on the wing, joining Exeter's Emmanuel Feo-Aboso. It's an electrifying combination, no doubt, even if it is a bit untested. Feo-Aboso has drawn comparisons from Kevin Sinfield to the iconic Jason Robinson for his explosive acceleration and power recently. If England can get the ball to him early and often, Fiji's defences will have plenty of problems. Now to Paris, where Siya Kolisi is set to win his 100th test cap when the Springboks face France at the Stade de France. The same ground where he lifted the World Cup title for a second time. It's a full circle moment for a player who's redefined leadership in modern rugby. He's of course that 2-time World Cup winner. He's an emotional heartbeat of the Springboks and still leading from the front. He's not just celebrated for what he's achieved, but how he's carried himself as an icon of the sport. So expect him to focus on winning first with sentiment second, but it's still a massive moment with one of the all-time greats. France, meanwhile, are out for revenge. Scrum half Maxime Luco didn't hide it, saying the 2023 quarterfinal loss to South Africa still sticks in this squad. Fabien Galtier's selections will reflect that edge. Reports coming out of France are suggesting that Gregory Aldry could miss out entirely after a dip in form, while Nolan Le Garrec is set to line out as the first choice scrum half with Antoine Dupont still injured. Gaël Fickou will be captaining the side. France are loading up physically in the pack, and even without Dupont, this is a side built to come straight at the world champions. From Paris to Dublin, that now brings us back to Ireland again, where the fallout from the loss to New Zealand continues. Johnny Sexton was brutally honest this week when he spoke to the media. He said rotation is coming and it's only partially reward and it's partially consequence. Some players will get another chance to get some minutes into the legs, others will make way. The goal now is to start sharpening some combinations whilst also of giving fresh legs a platform and a building towards that next World Cup cycle, something Ireland hasn't done just yet. Irish legend Brian O'Driscoll echoed that sentiment, calling out Ireland's lack of X factor and cutting edge out wide while speaking to Off the Ball this week. He said Ireland's attack felt predictable and their execution was poor, with too few players capable of breaking the line. The Chicago match perhaps exposed that gap quite clearly. The kicking game had some great ideas, but there wasn't enough bite when Ireland had possession. With that in mind, here's an Ireland team we would like to see face Japan at the Aviva Stadium, and you can check it out on FloRugby.com to have the full breakdown on why we have gone with this selection. At Loosehead, we are backing young Paddy McCarthy to build on his debut and get some valuable minutes in his legs. We need Dan Sheehan to get back up to speed, so he's starting at hooker. Thomas Clarkson gets a crack at tight head after showing so much promise in recent months. Thomas Ahern is going to start at lock, and he is going to be joined by the experienced James Ryan in an interesting looking lock pairing just there. Ryan Baird continues at blind side. He had a very good 60 minutes but dropped off on the last 20 against the All Blacks. Nick Timoney is going to start at open side to give Josh van der Fleer a bit of a break and just have a bit of alternation in that position. Caelan Doris returns to number 8, and he's going to captain the side, of course. In the halfbacks, we've opted for some provincial combinations here, with Craig Casey and Jack Crowley getting the start, just to double down on Crowley's starting time there. Jacob Stockdale, who has been in flying form for Ulster, will start on the left wing in our team. We have Kieran Frawley getting the nod at 12 for a dual playmaking access, and he would be joined by debutant Tom Farrell, who's been Munster's player of the season last year and has been brilliant again this season. Tommy O'Brien, who is that X Factor, the player that Brian O'Driscoll was talking about, starts on the right wing, with Jimmy O'Brien getting a nod at fullback, having had fallen down the pecking order in recent times. On the bench, we have Gus McCarthy, Jack Boyle, Tadhg Furlong, Tadhg Beirne, Cian Prendergast, and then we're looking at James Gibson Park and Sam Prendergast as that provincial combination again, with Jamie Osborne covering the backline. That team, in our opinion, gives Farrell rhythm in key areas while introducing some form players who've earned the right to start. It's not about panicking for Irish rugby, it's more about looking towards progress, tightening up the nuts and bolts a little bit now that they've been caught short, rather than looking to fall down later. Across the board this week, the themes are the same: leadership, evolution, and intent. Am and Creel stepping into new chapters in their career. Sia Kolisi chasing victory in his 100th test. England rolling the dice with youth and speed a week on from a very impressive performance. France are sharpening up for redemption, and Ireland are facing the mirror test after Chicago. Where are they at? So that's rugby today. We will see you next time on FloRugby, and we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and we'd love to hear from you. What is the biggest talking point for your team this weekend? For me, as an Irishman, I want to see some fresh blood in this team. I don't think the squad was rotated enough coming into November, but let's give the guys who are on the fringes of the squad a bit of a crack. Thanks again for checking out the video.